where we speak truth to power. Now here we don't criticize, but if we must criticize, we'll only do it on one condition: to build and not to destroy. That is why we say we are in the service of God and country. This is the voice of the people, and the voice of the people is the voice of God. From the newsreel, we endeavor to always keep it real. Now today we're going to look at just two very important instances. In fact, and we go straight for the jugular vein. Now the very first story we are taking today is coming from treenews.com, one of the most authentic sources of news online. And it says, Ghana beyond aid has fallen in water. And this is Abraham Amaliba talking. Now let's go for the full story. It says, private legal practitioner and director of conflict resolution of the National Democratic Congress, the NDC, Abraham Amaliba, says the Ghana beyond aid mantra of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has fallen into the water. This is said is because the Akufo-Addo-led NPP government has borrowed this country into debt and depends on donor support to survive. He argued that other countries provide government aid before it can cater for the health needs of the Ghanaian people. And this is very important. I'm going to take it again. He argued that some countries provide government with aid before it is able to even take care of the health needs of Ghanaians. Mr. Amaliba's comments come on the back of the government's apparent lack of interest in clearing all the 283 containers containing tuberculosis, HIV, AIDS, and malaria medication, as well as treated mosquito nets that were stuck at Tema. I leave it here. Now, when people hear me ranting madly and angrily and bitterly at the Nana Akufo-Addo government, is because of this. When Nana Akufo-Addo first mentioned Ghana beyond aid, I was one of the people that touted this, praised the president, and it's on tape, it's on records. Go back and play back all those tapes when I single-handedly applauded this president, my brother, my sister, for being a great Pan-Africanist. I am looking up to the day when Ghana will truly be beyond aid. I cannot fathom beyond all the wildest fantasies in the world, beyond all the odds, my brother, that we live in a country that used to be called the Gold Coast. It wasn't called the Gold Coast for nothing. It was called the Gold Coast because there was so much gold on the coast. The Portuguese called it El Min. In other words, the mine. What were they mining? Nothing but the gold and the diamonds and other mineral resources, apart from human resources. My brother, my sister, it hurts me right into the very nucleus of my livelihood that this country is still going cup in hand, begging people that God himself has cursed. It is so sad that as a native of this nation, spent all my close to 50 years of life in this country, looking forward to a day that I will clap for our ancestors repeatedly, that this nation finally is beyond aid and that we are truly independent. Remember when Nkrumah gave us political independence? He said that was the beginning of our independence. Many were those who never understood this until he was overthrown in 1966. And then he said, we were on the verge. In fact, we were on the threshold of becoming economically liberated. In other words, the true independence after political independence is economic independence. It hurts me that countries that do not even exist on the map of the world are those countries that are donating to my country that used to be called the Gold Coast. So when I get angry and I rant, when I get angry and I get so bitter and I utter some of these things, There are some ignoramuses somewhere who don't care where the country is going, whether it's in reverse gear or whatever. They don't seem to know because they are people with no common sense. It hurts me that politicians can still go around and make so much noise all over the place, hoping to be elected into power. My brother, my sister, and when you look at those people who want to be president, you realize that they have nothing to show from all these times that they have spent with us. Well, Abraham Amaliba is saying that the so-called Ghana without aid has fallen into the water. And in the Ghanaian parlance, when something falls into water, it simply means it has fallen into oblivion. It is no longer existent. It has failed. How can you have a king in Ghana, my brother, my sister, who is touted as Otikokoso? In other words, he sees on gold. Yet, my brother, my sister, it is a country that is so impoverished beyond description. I can't fathom this. I don't know by what magic I'm going to explain this to my children. That we used to be called the Gold Coast. Before that, we were even called ancient Ghana, where there was not even a single poor person in that empire, according to each story. My God. We taught Europeans how to do so many different things. Today, we are falling back on Europeans and even people who do not exist, ghosts, to be able to rescue us from economic bondage and suppression. Amaliba has spoken. Nanado will go to hell. Satan will sodomize him in hell for this kind of pressure that he has led Ghanaians into. The deception. As for Baumia, he will be the senior prefect in hell. And all the other politicians, my brother, my sister, whose names I will not waste time to mention, all of you are going to roast in hell. Satan has a heart on, long and big. He will sodomize all of you night and day with no mercy. I leave you here. I came into the studio with a certain level of anger, and this is where my anger is coming from. Peace FM Online. Ghana Health Service investigates after hospital allegedly abandons patient in the bush. Yesterday it came out that an old woman in POP on both legs was thrown out of a government ambulance into the bushes of Winneba. For 3 days she was lying in the bush until she died. What was the problem? She was in the hospital accumulating bills. They were looking for her family to come and pay the bills. They couldn't find the family, and for that matter, because this is a useless nation with useless leaders, they cannot pay for health insurance. They decided to take this woman out of the hospital. They drove her in an ambulance and threw her into the bush like an accursed animal. For 3 days, people walked by her. Most people said she was a witch who had just descended from the clouds and was ready to devour the next person. A country that believes in anything that does not make sense. For that matter, my brother, my sister, the poor old woman whose only crime is that she was born in this country where people have no common sense. My brother, my sister, she died after 3 days. Nobody gave her water. Nobody gave her food. All the pastors and the malams passed by her. They abandoned her and she died there. My God have mercy. What a country. Yet the vice president and all the MPs who are supposed to be sitting in parliament making laws for us are running around dancing a zonto in almost every community of Ghana. Hallelujah. You go to church and pray night and day. Yet when your brother is in trouble, you do not seem to have the common sense to rescue this brother. Yet the book of 1 John chapter 4 verse 2 tells you that Jesus Christ himself said that you cannot love him if you don't love your brother. But because you are so illiterate, you can't read. Even when you read, you don't seem to understand. You don't know the difference between knowledge and wisdom. That is where you are. I am hurt. This woman died. 3 days in the bush. I'm not going to continue this program. I leave it here. What a nation. I leave it here.